An introduction to manual SEO audits. In this section, I'll be going over what an SEO audit is and how Google works at the core level. I'll also be showing you what tools you can use when it comes to carrying out an SEO audit. And then I'm going to be showing you how you can crawl your website and give you an overview of exactly how the process works from A to Z. And then once we've covered that, I'll be showing you how you can audit your website for things such as URLs and 404 pages. And I'll also be showing you how you can audit your website for page titles, meta descriptions, and heading tags as well. So essentially, some of the most important SEO elements when it comes to carrying out an audit. So without further ado, let's dive into the first video. What is an SEO audit? An SEO audit is the process of evaluating a website to see how search engine friendly the site is. The main goal of an SEO audit is to help you optimize a website so that it can achieve higher Google rankings. SEO audits can help you identify and discover things that could be holding your website back from ranking on the first page of Google. As a result, SEO audits are a key cog in any SEO campaign. You see, if you don't carry out an SEO audit from the start, then all the SEO work you're going to be performing on your website won't be as effective as it could be. It's kind of like when you build a house on a weak foundation. Eventually, it's all going to come tumbling down. However, if you build your house on a strong foundation, it's going to be a great strong house and it's rarely going to cause you any problems. The same applies to websites too. An SEO audit allows you to ensure your website has a strong foundation. To understand how SEO audits work, we need to take one step back and understand how Google works at a core level. So for those who don't know, Google has a crawler that you could call a spider, and what it does is it goes out there across the whole wide web and it finds web pages, which of course there are trillions and trillions of different web pages out there. Now, once it finds those web pages, it separates them into three different categories, which are known pages, crawled pages, and indexed pages. Known pages are pages that Google knows about, kind of self-explanatory. Crawled pages are pages that Google's spider has actually gone onto and crawled that page, so it's got all the information about that page and all the code details. Index pages is the pages that Google has crawled and decided to add them to their index, aka allowing users to find them on Google search results. What happens on top of this is that Google's core algorithm determines a ranking for the web page to determine where that page is going to rank once that page has been indexed. But that's essentially how Google works at a really basic level. They find pages, they crawl pages, and then they add the good ones to their index. So any problems you have on your website, such as poor optimized on-page SEO, slow website loading time, this will all be found by Google Spider when they crawl your website, and it's going to have a big impact on where your website ranks. This is why it's super important to make sure you carry out an SEO audit literally from day one. Whether that's on your site or a client site, you need to carry out an audit from day one. What tools can you use for an SEO audit? This is a question I get asked literally every week, and I don't blame the reason why people ask me is because literally if you search online for tools to use for an SEO audit, the information is so conflicting, it can be so overwhelming, and literally all it does is end up confusing you. So in this video, I'm going to demystify the whole SEO audit tool problem, and I'll let you know exactly what tool I use myself at the agency, along with what tool I recommend you should use. So three of the biggest tools you've probably seen online when you've carried out any search for an SEO audit tool is probably Deep Crawl, you've probably seen Sitebulb, and the other one you've probably seen most common is going to be Screaming Frog. So Deep Crawl and Sitebulb, they're actually both paid tools. They do work very well, both of them. However, I don't actually find them to be any more effective or any more useful than Screaming Frog. And Screaming Frog is actually free to use. Screaming Frog is a tool we use ourselves at ClickSlice at the agency. I highly recommend Screaming Frog over any other SEO audit tool out there. Number one is because it's free and it literally does everything these other two tools do as well. As long as your website has less than 500 pages, which I assume a lot of people who are watching this video will actually have websites with less than 500 pages, you can use Screaming Frog for absolutely free. If you do have a website which is more than 500 pages, then you will unfortunately have to pay for the paid version, which I believe is £150 for an annual license, which is still really good value. So once you go over to Screaming Frog, which I'm going to link to as a link in the downloadable resources, what you want to do is go over to the SEO Spider tab right here. And if you scroll down, we can have a look at all the features of Screaming Frog. So you can see when you use this tool, you can easily find broken links. So these are any broken links you have on your website. You can analyze page titles and meta descriptions. You can even generate XML sitemaps. You can crawl any website. It's not just WordPress websites. So you can crawl JavaScript websites as well, Wix websites, Weebly, e-commerce stores. It doesn't really matter. You can crawl literally any website. You can find any redirects your website has, so that could be a 301 redirect. You can discover duplicate content. If you have the paid version of Screaming Frog, you can also integrate it with Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and Page Speed Insights. Now, these three things, they aren't really necessary whatsoever. It's kind of a little feature which is nice to have, but you don't need it at all to carry out an SEO audit. So again, it's not even an essential. And one thing which I really like about Screaming Frog, which they added not too long ago, is that they now allow you to see the website from a visual site architect perspective. If that doesn't make any sense right now, then don't worry, as I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by a visual site architect in the next video. So Screaming Frog is a tool that I recommend. So like I said, I will go ahead and add a link in the resources to this URL right here. And simply once you land on this URL, what you want to do is go ahead and download it. And yes, it works on all computers. It works on Windows, Macs, and Linux machines. So you shouldn't have any issues using it whatsoever. So go ahead and download Screaming Frog, and I'll see you in the next video where I'm going to give you a really brief overview of exactly all the information it gives you and exactly how it works. See you in the next one. Hi and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can carry out your first crawl, and I'll be giving you a sneak preview and showing you exactly all the information that Screaming Frog returns when you actually crawl a website. So once you've got Screaming Frog downloaded and you've opened it up for the first time, it's going to look pretty much similar to this. Let me go ahead and make mine full screen so you can see everything very clearly. So how do you crawl a website? Well, it's very straightforward. All you need to do is enter in your website URL into the top bar right here and then go ahead and click start. So for the purpose of this training video, what I'll be doing is using this website right here, tmhughesandsson.uk. This is not my website. I don't own a website. I don't even know the person who owns it. I simply found this website by carrying out a search for a local search phrase, local to where I live, and I thought it would be a good fit for the purpose of this course. As like all of my courses, instead of me just giving you the theory, I like to show you exactly how you can carry out an SEO audit step by step. So let's take this website and I'll go back into Screaming Frog. I'm going to paste it in the URL at the top. And once I go ahead and click start, what's going to happen is Screaming Frog is going to visit this website and start to crawl all of the pages and discover every single page on the website. It's going to crawl it one by one. You can see in total, it's found 249 pages on the website, and it's already crawled 247 of those. So as you can see, the tool works extremely fast. Of course, if you have a bigger website, it's going to take a little bit longer to crawl. So once the website crawl has finished, you can see we have tons and tons of information in front of us. We have the address, which is going to be the website URL. We can see the content, the status code, the indexability. So if any pages aren't getting indexed, you'll know exactly how to find them very quickly. You can keep on scrolling and getting tons and tons of information. We can see the page titles for all of those pages. We can see the page title length. You can see the meta description. We can see what pages don't have meta descriptions. We can keep on scrolling and see the meta description length as well. So 89 characters, 00, 191. We don't just stop there, we get more and more information. We can see the H1 tags, we can see another H1 tag. So if pages have multiple H1 tags, which by the way is a problem, we can find that out very easily. We can find out H2 tags as well. We can find out the H2 character length as well. Literally so much information. Now, another thing we can also do is if I go back to the first tab right here, you can actually click any URL, and what it does, it brings down a more detailed analysis of that page in particular. So essentially what it does is it gives you all that information in just a different view, because some people like to view it in columns other than scrolling row by row. But essentially it gives you an immense amount of information. We can even go over to the right hand tab right here and then go to site structure. And what it does, it lets you know the structure of your website, literally folder by folder. We can even see our response time as well. So for those who don't know what our response time is, it's essentially the time in seconds to download that URL. What I'm also going to do attached to this video is I'm going to add a link to this resource right here, which is basically the glossary of Screaming Frog, and it basically breaks down exactly what all of these things mean, just in case you didn't already know. So let's go back into Screaming Frog, and as you can see, we have these tabs at the top. We've got internal, which is the tab we've just been on the whole time. But if you just wanted to see all the page titles on a website, well, very easy to do. Just plug in that website and then go to page titles. And guess what? You can now see all of the page titles across your website very, very easily. You can also go up to the top and then go to visualizations right here and then go for maybe crawl tree graph. And what that does is it generates these really cool visual representations of exactly how your website is laid out. So you can see for yourself exactly how your website is structured, what pages are linking to what pages. Now this isn't the only view you can see. If I go back into visualizations, I go for force directed crawl diagram. You can see we now get another visual representation of how our website is looking. So we have a homepage right here, linking to our blog. Then on our blog, we have all these different articles and links to another one. So these are really, really cool features, which is going to help you understand exactly how your website looks from a bird's eye view, which of course is going to make it a lot more easier for us when we're trying to find problems on our website. Now, another great thing about Screaming Frog is that you can actually export all of this data just by clicking this export button. So if you're not a fan of looking at all this information within the tool itself, so within Screaming Frog, you can literally just export all of that data like so, and then review it in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, whatever is your preference. But essentially, I don't want to get too carried away in this video, as I'm going to go through all of this in great detail in its own category later on in the course. But essentially, this is just a quick video to give you an overview and show you exactly what all of the data looks like. As yes, it's nice to see a bigger list like this on a website, but you might be wondering, well, what does a page title look like? How do I find that? Well, now you know. So now we've got the basics out of the way. In the next video, I'll be showing you how you can use Screaming Frog to audit some of the most important SEO elements on a website, such as the URL, the page titles, meta descriptions, and the heading tags too. See you there. When it comes to auditing a website from an on-page SEO perspective, the first thing which you want to do is audit the website's URLs. Now, there's two parts to auditing a website URL. You have number one, which is finding dead pages. So this can include things such as finding 404 pages and finding any 301 redirects that website has. The second part of auditing website URLs is what we call optimization. Now, this only applies to new websites and sites that have no ranking in Google. So when it comes to optimization, you want to audit the website URLs to ensure they have four main things. Those four things are including your biggest keyword in the URL. Number two, you want to make sure that you don't keyword stuff your URL. I see so many people out there that literally just try and stuff as many keywords as possible in the URL. Please don't do it. It looks unnatural and you're only going to do more harm to your website. Number three, you want to avoid repeating words as well. And number four, the shorter the better. So don't go out there and try and have the longest website URL possible just because you're trying to stuff keywords in there. The shorter and the more concise your URL, the better it's going to be for Google to understand exactly what your page is about. Just to clarify why the optimization only applies to new websites and sites with no ranking is because if you optimize an existing client's website that is ranking on page one on Google and you notice that they're not including the keyword in the URL, you don't really want to go ahead and start changing that existing URL that already has backlinks pointing to it, as what that means is you potentially have the chance of losing all of that SEO juice and power that that existing URL has. Yes, you can 301 redirect the old URL to the new one, but it's really not worth playing around with, especially if that page is already ranking really high in Google. You're way better off optimizing the website from a different aspect, such as on-page SEO, for example. So now we covered the theory behind URLs, let me head over to Screaming Frog and I'll give you a real-time walkthrough to show you exactly how it's done. The website I'm going to be using is this one right here. It's called greenathome.co.uk. Once again, just to clarify, I do not own this website. I have no affiliation with it whatsoever. I simply went onto Google and I carried out a search for landscaping company London. I went over to page 4 on Google, as you can see, and this is the website right here. The reason why I've used a website on page 4 is because, of course, all the websites on page 4 of Google could do with a hand when it comes to SEO auditing and the general SEO of the website. So what I'm going to do is copy the website URL. I'm going to go over to Screaming Frog. Then at the top, I'm going to enter in the URL and click Start to begin the crawl process. The crawl is now finished, and as we are auditing the URLs of this website, what we want to do is make sure we go over to the URL tab at the top right here. Simply give that a click and it's now going to show you all of the URLs on that website. So you can see we get quite a bit of information. We have the address, the content type, the status code, the status, indexability status, hash, and so on and so on. It can be a little bit confusing to review right here in Screaming Frog. So what I actually highly recommend you do is you actually go ahead and click export, like so, by clicking this button up here. Then all you need to do is go for the type that you'd like the export to save as. So I'll leave mine as CSV, comma separated values. However, if you prefer to work on Excel or Google Sheets, then feel free to go for that. I'll leave mine as CSV and then click save. And then what you want to do is open up that spreadsheet, which is exactly what I have right here. Let me just zoom in a little bit as it can be quite hard to see. Just going to expand the first row right here, row A, so we actually see the URL. Just going to make all of these bold as well. And I'm going to go over to view and I'm going to freeze the top row so we can scroll and still see exactly what all of these columns are. So one thing which I've noticed already is that under column F, under indexability, we have the word there saying canonicalized. You can see it says right here and there. So what this tells me is that there are multiple versions of this website in Google. The reason I know that is because when you use the canonical tag on a page, you are basically telling Google to ignore this page as there is a different page on your website, which is the primary source of information. So if we look at this URL, I will zoom in a little bit more just once again to make sure everyone can see that. You can see this row right here, row number 24, is HTTP. And if you look below that, we've got HTTPS. So it's very clear that this website has multiple versions. Now, if you remember what I said in the previous video in this course, you only want to have one version of your website live and every other version should redirect to that page. So if I go back to that website, what's actually really interesting to see is that on the homepage, they have, the padlock symbol, the site is secure, it's HTTPS. And if I take off the S, let's see if it redirects. So the homepage does indeed redirect. So let's go to one of the service pages. HTTPS still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the S on one of the service pages and have a look if it directs. And as you can see, this page is not secure. So what's really interesting to see is that they've only set up the redirect on the home page and it hasn't been done site-wide. This is exactly why I said when you check if a website has one version, you want to check it on your inner pages as well, as sometimes what you'll see, like this website, the home page will redirect, but the inner pages won't redirect. So this is a really good example just to show you how important that is. Because essentially, all the information we have in this spreadsheet right here, a lot of it is going to be duplicates of the same page in just another version. So what I'm going to do is simply go ahead and add a filter to this indexability column just so I can see all of them that are canonicalized. So click here and I want to go for canonicalize right here. And now you can see all the pages on the website which are listed as a canonical. So all I'm going to do is just simply zoom out a little bit just so I can select them all. I'm now going to delete them as we don't actually need them on our spreadsheet. Now do bear in mind the website you are working on, it might not have this issue. So if it doesn't, simply skip past this part right here. So let me go ahead and select them all now. And that should have removed all the HTTP ones. And as you can see, it's now back to all HTTPS like so, which is great. So let me just scroll back to the top like so. So once you've got rid of those URLs, the next thing which you want to do is add a filter to the second column, which is going to be content type. As you can see, we've got a lot of URLs. We've got some WordPress logins. We've got some content uploads, lots of random URLs, which we don't really need to see. So to filter all of these out, let's go and add a filter to our second column like so. And now we only want to see this one right here. text/HTML, and as you can see, that's now removed a lot of those really weird WordPress URLs. We do have a few, but the bulk of them are definitely gone, which is nice, and I can actually start to see some of the main service pages like so, and on the areas they cover, which is all nice. So once you've added these filters, the next thing which you want to do is simply clean up the remaining parts of the spreadsheet and remove all the parts which you don't actually need. So we don't need this one right here, indexability. This can be deleted. We don't need the hash, that can also be deleted. We don't need the canonical link element 1, so that can be deleted as well. And we don't need the URL encoded address, so that can also be deleted. So now you can see our spreadsheet looks a lot more cleaner and it's a little bit easy to digest exactly what is going on. Now, if you remember what I said when it comes to auditing website URLs, there is two parts to the process. There's number one, finding dead pages up here. Then you have the second part, which is optimization. So let me show you how to carry out the first part, which is finding dead pages. So that would be any 404 or 301 redirects the website actually has. So it's very easy to do. All you need to do is go to status code. And then what you want to do is deselect all of them and simply go for 404 like so. And now the spreadsheet is going to show you all of the 404 pages on that website. So what do you do when you find a 404 page on a website? Well, the first thing which you need to do is analyze that specific URL. So we have this URL right here at the top. It's a status 404. It looks to be like a WordPress login page. Let me just click it and then go over to Google. Let's carry out a search for that URL just to make sure it is indeed a WordPress login page. As you can see, it says, sorry, page not found, and it is indeed a WordPress login page. There's no redirects or nothing like that. So basically, as this page is going to have literally 0 backlinks pointing to it, I know that for a fact, or I'm almost 99% confident, just because it's a WordPress login URL, it's very, very unlikely that this page has any SEO value for the website. If it did, then what I would want to do is set up a 301 redirect and redirect this page to the closest page on the website. So if it was a page maybe about landscaping services, I would redirect this page to our landscaping services page. However, in this instance, there's not that much we need to worry about, and we can simply leave the page as it is. Yes, that is right. We can literally leave the page as it is. A lot of old-fashioned SEOs would tell you that you actually have to remove the page from Google's index. That is actually not true. We actually have the support article right here by Google. They do have a tool which allows you to remove URLs from the index. However, if you actually scroll down and read what it says on this page, I'll zoom in once again. You can see it says when not to use this tool. You shouldn't use it to clean up your stuff like old 404 pages. So this tool is not for that, so please ignore any advice you see online in blogs saying you should remove URLs. That is simply not true. Just follow Google's advice. What I'll do, I'll actually link to this as an external link in the resources so you can refer to it in your own time. So if I go back to my spreadsheet, you can see we've got a lot of WordPress login URLs, so nothing to worry about whatsoever. We've got a URL right here, which seems to be a portfolio. So go ahead and then search for that in Google once again. And as you can see, this page is not found. So in this instance, as it can actually result in a poor user experience of someone who's trying to visit this portfolio item, what you do want to do is actually go ahead and redirect this page to another item in the portfolio. So that is pretty much it for 404 pages. When it comes to 301 redirects, it's pretty much the same process. You want to untick 404, sorry, and then select 301. And now you can see all the 301 redirects on the website. And you simply want to go through these URLs and just make sure that all these URLs should indeed be 301 redirects. So that covers the first part of auditing URLs when it comes to finding dead pages. Now let me go through exactly how you would cover the optimization aspect for brand new websites. So let me go back over to my spreadsheet. What I'm going to do is change the status code to show us 200, which is basically all the URLs which are absolutely fine on the website. So again, let's just imagine this is a brand new website. It's got no backlinks pointing to the page whatsoever. So let me go ahead and show you exactly how I would rewrite these URLs. So let's take this URL here, for example. It's the waste removal page. If I copy that and then go over to Google and carry out a search for that, we can see they are targeting the keyword waste removal services in London. So they're clearly based in London. They've got the content below. So one thing which stands out to me already is a targeting London, and London should be part of the keyword. So what they're actually missing is not including the full keyword in the URL. So instead of having waste removal, I would actually change this to waste removal London. As if you remember what I said on the PowerPoint slides, you want to include your biggest keyword in the URL, which of course, as a page is about waste removal in London, London is going to be part of the biggest keyword. So that's pretty much the process you would follow when auditing a website from an optimization process. There's not that much you can do when it comes to optimizing URLs other than making sure that the URL is short, which indeed ours is, and that it includes the keyword you're targeting. That is it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. In this video, you're going to learn how to audit a website's page titles. There's 5 main things which you want to keep in mind when auditing a page title, which are: number 1, you want to keep the page title under 60 characters in length. Now that does include spaces as well. Number 2, you want to get your keyword towards the front of the title tag, as words towards the front of the title tag carry more SEO weight. Number 3, you want to write naturally. Now, hopefully that is pretty obvious, but trust me, you'll be surprised at how many people go out there and write unnatural title tags simply because they're trying to keyword stuff the title. Number 4, you want to include single words and variations too. For example, if you are targeting the keyword SEO consultant New York, then another variation of the word consultant could be consulting. Same way, if you were trying to rank for SEO expert, you could go for SEO specialist. These are all different word variations of the same word. Number 5, you want to avoid repeating words. So this is the same logic which we apply to website URLs as well. So those are the 5 things you need to follow. However, instead of me just giving you the theory, you know I always like to go the extra mile and make sure this course is super actionable. So let's head back over to Screaming Frog and I'll show you exactly how this is done with a real-time walkthrough, step by step. So for this video, we're going to be using the same website we used in the previous video for URLs. I do already have the website loaded into Screaming Frog, as you would have saw from the last video. But essentially, as we are looking at the website's page titles, all we need to do is change the tab from URL to page titles. And now we can see all the page titles for this specific website. So it's exactly the same process. You want to go ahead and export all the data and then review it in a spreadsheet. I mean, you can review it here, but like I said in the last video, it can be a little bit cumbersome to see exactly what's going on. And if any of your page titles need to be rewritten, it's way better to do it in an actual spreadsheet so you can keep track of everything in one place, making it really easy to action when it comes to actually cleaning up your website. So let's go ahead and export all this data under page titles. I'll go for CSV as my file type once again and then click save. Once you open up that spreadsheet, it's going to look pretty similar to this. You've got a few columns. You've got the website URL, which is the address. You've got occurrences. You've got the actual page title itself. We have the page title length. We have the pixel width as well. And we have the indexability. And just as a side note, I have actually cleaned up this file first, as like I said in the last video, we did have a lot of duplicates coming through with HTTP and HTTPS URLs, purely because this website hasn't done the SEO correctly. But essentially all I've done is I've removed the HTTP versions so we can focus on just one version of the website. So first things first, what you want to do is tidy up the spreadsheet and remove all the columns which you don't need. So we don't need this column right here, column B for occurrences, as they should all say number 1, which as you can see, that's exactly what the website says. So just be sure to double check you only have one occurrence of this URL and this title tag. If you have multiple occurrences, then it basically means you have 2 URLs on your website talking about exactly the same thing. So let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need to see this column right here, the pixel width. That can be deleted. And the last column, indexability, well, all the URLs are actually indexable, as you can see, so we don't need that whatsoever. So essentially, all we need is 3 columns. We need the address, the page title, and the page title length. So what I like to do is go ahead and make all of these in bold. I then like to go over to view and freeze the top row. So just when you scroll, this is always going to be in view. Now we've tidied up our spreadsheet, the second thing which I like to do is quickly add a filter so I can see all the title tags which are over 60 characters in length. As like I said, you want to make sure your title tag is under 60 characters, otherwise it's just going to get cut off by Google. So to find all these title tags which are over 60 in length, very easy. Once again, all you need to do is go over to your title tag. I'm going to come under to data, add a filter, and then click this drop down arrow. And then what you want to do on this little box, you want to change from choose 1 to greater than, and then literally enter in 60, as that is our limit. And the spreadsheet is going to show us all the title tags which are over 60 characters in length. So essentially what you want to do is go through all of these title tags one by one and rewrite them, following the list of things that I gave you in the PowerPoint slides. So let's go ahead and apply that to the first 3 URLs at the top, just to give you an idea of exactly how this would work in the real world. So the first URL is for a waste removal page. We can see the title tag right here. We know it's over 60 characters. So the first thing which you want to go and do is condense this title tag and make it more concise. However, before you go ahead and do that, it's always a good idea to actually take the website URL, go over to Google and land on that URL as you was an actual customer, just so you can get a good idea of exactly what the page is about and have a look at the actual content of the page as well. So we can see this page is all about waste removal services in London. That is most likely the keyword they are targeting, as of course this company is based in London. You can see they've got best price gardeners in London as well. We've got London here as well. We've got London here again, waste removal. Okay, so I have a clear understanding of what this page is about. It's literally a page about waste removal services in London. Quite self-explanatory. So that's always good to know and to keep in the back of your mind when it comes to rewriting these title tags. So just from looking at these title tags, I've already noticed one thing. That is that every single title tag ends with the same text. You've got professional gardening and landscaping services in London. You've got the same text right here. You've got it again below. You've got it again. You've got it again. You've got it here. Literally every single page title has this. Now, if you see this, what it means is probably some code added to the theme on the website. And whilst it might look good for a web developer or someone who's making a website, it's not really good for an SEO aspect whatsoever. 2 reasons: because all your title tags are going to be very similar, and number 2, it's going to drastically increase the length of your title tag. As you can see, it's done in all of these instances right here. So let's go ahead and start to rewrite some of these title tags. I'll take the top one. What I like to do is add a new column, and I'll put new title tag. I simply like to copy the title tag we already have. Then I like to make it a little bit smaller just so I can actually see my new title tag. I'm going to remove this part right at the end as it doesn't need to be there. I'm going to do one thing now, just double check the character length of this title tag. Go over to wordcounter.net. We're currently at 53 characters. I will include a link to this in the resources as well, but this is a tool I like to use just to see how long a title tag is. 53, all good. Best waste removal services in London. Green at Home is obviously the brand name. The next thing to check is that if they have the keyword towards the front of the title tag. So it's very clear that this page is targeting the keyword waste removal services London. You can see they've got the keyword right here, waste removal services in London. They do have the word best at the start of the title tag. However, as it's only one word, it doesn't really matter. And actually having the word best in this instance is going to help them stand out from the competition. The third thing we want to check is that if the title tag is written naturally, which it is indeed, you can see it says best waste removal services in London, green at home. You will see a lot of people taking out these filler words such as in, and what you'll see is the title tag will be best waste removal services London. I mean, that's not the best English. You ideally want to have the word in there for sure. Excuse the pun. And don't worry about trying to have all your keywords right next to each other, as long as you have the individual and single keyword variations in there as well, which we do in this instance, you have nothing to worry about. The fifth and final thing to check is that if we repeat any of the words, well, we don't. We have waste mentioned once, we have removal mentioned once, and we have London mentioned once as well. So this is a really good title tag, and it's much better than what we had before. So let's move on to the second one, which by the looks of it seems to be a URL for the category and buying products page. So it's going to be pretty straightforward for this one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and skip that, and I'll do another one of the service pages, which seems to be for the landscaping page. So once again, I will copy the old one and copy it here. I then want to go ahead and take this URL, go over to Google, and then land on this URL just to see what the page is about. So once again, it is all to do with London, and it's all about the services which is specializing in landscaping. So the main keyword seems to be landscaping services in London. They've got high quality garden landscaping in London. So it could be garden is another potential keyword. So in this instance, when you're not sure what the best keyword is it landscaping services London, or is it gardening services London? If you have any doubt whatsoever, the best thing to do is to carry out a little bit of keyword research and see which keyword has the most searches, as you want to optimize your page around the keyword, which is the most popular keyword. So all I've done is I've gone into SEMrush, I've typed in landscape in London, and as you can see, we've got all the keyword variations popping up right here. We have London landscape, we have landscape gardeners London, so not gardening, we have gardeners, so a different variation. And as this keyword is showing to me with 720 searches, it's very clear and it's a very strong signal that this is the bulk keyword that I want to optimize that page for. Where if we go back to our spreadsheet, you can see at present it's optimized for gardening and landscaping services. So we definitely want to go ahead and get this rewritten. So what I'm going to do is simply copy this main keyword, copy it from the left to the right. Oh, I've copied quite a lot. Okay, I can't copy for some reason. What I'll do, I'll just type it, landscape gardeners, and then we'll have London. Excuse my capital letters right here. There we go, got there in the end. So I will copy that. I'll go back to my spreadsheet. I'm going to copy this at the start as this is the main keyword. Landscape gardeners London. I'm going to take this bit out right now. And what I like to do is put the brand name back at the end, green at home. And then I'll go for reliable this time. So as you can see, what I like to do is literally include a word at the start of the title tag, and this is going to allow us to stand out automatically from all the other standard SEO people that literally just go for landscape gardeners London and then have the brand name. Let's go ahead and put reliable back in. I mean, some other ideas of what you can use for trust signals. You can go for trustworthy, reliable, high quality, family run. These are all ideas you can use at the start of your title tag. But of course, just make sure you are under the 60 character count. So what I'm going to do is just copy this. I've got a double space there. Get rid of that. I'm going to copy that. Go back over to my tool. Just double check we're at 53 characters. So we're under 60. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. The title tag is written naturally. I do have my keywords towards the front of the title tag. The title tag is also written naturally. In regards to single and other keyword variations, well, you can always go back to your keyword research analysis and just see if there's any other keywords you can have in there. So maybe the word architect is another variation we can get included in our title tag. However, as you can see, we've already got 53. We've only got 7 characters left. So instead of me trying to keyword stuff and get the word architect in here, it's actually going to be way more better if I include this keyword in one of our H1 or H2 tags on the actual page instead of trying to stuff it into our title tag. So essentially what you want to do is go ahead and rewrite the title tags for all of these title tags, as of course these are all over 60 characters. And then once you've done that, what you want to do is clear your filter and then have a look at the title tags that are below 60 characters and see if any of those can be rewritten following the 5 principles that we covered in the PowerPoint slides. So that is it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can audit a website's meta descriptions. Just to clarify, a meta description is a description you see below your website in the Google search results. So here's a meta description for ClickSlice's page on our SEO consultant page. You can see it says, are you a business owner who is looking for an SEO consultant in London? Let's jump on a call today and discuss exactly how we can help your business. So instead of me just showing you this and you trying to figure out exactly why this is a good meta description, let me go through 4 things which you need to bear in mind, which ultimately determines how you're going to write a meta description to ensure it's performing the best for your website. So number 1 is you want to keep it under 155 characters. Once again, that does include spaces. Number 2, you want to get your keywords mentioned in the tag as well. Now this is a little bit different in comparison to the title tag, as with the title tag, you want to get your keyword mentioned at the front. However, when it comes to your meta description, it doesn't really matter where you mention the keyword. You just want to make sure you get it included. Back in the day, adding keywords in your meta description did actually give you an SEO boost. However, it is no longer a ranking signal. Well, you might be wondering, well, if it's not a ranking signal, then why should I include my keyword in the meta description? Well, the reason why you want to include it is if you look at my image, you can see the keyword I'm obviously targeting for my page is SEO Consultant London. It's very clear from the URL and my title tag. And if you look at my meta description, the words SEO, Consultant and London have all been put in bold by Google. Now, this doesn't have a direct impact on my ranking, but what it does do is it makes my website stand out more in Google and highlights to users that my page is all about SEO Consultant London, which is the main topic of my page. So when you do include the keywords in your meta description, it by default helps your page stand out and can actually help improve your website CTR, which is a percentage of people who click your website from the Google search engine results page. When a website has a high CTR, it's a very strong signal to Google that people are liking what they are seeing. So as a result, what does Google do? It bumps up the rankings of that page. So long story short, definitely make sure you go ahead and include your keywords in your meta description. Number 3, try and grab people's attention. I personally like to do this by asking questions. Questions are a great way to grab people's attention. So in my example right here, you can see in my meta description, I say, are you a business owner who is looking for an SEO consultant in London? ? So my meta description starts off with a question. If you own maybe an e-commerce website selling gaming monitors, for example, you can start off your meta description saying, looking for the best gaming monitor? ? We sell the most premium gaming monitors, blah, 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 blah. Adding a question in your meta description is a really solid way to grab people's attention. Number 4, write naturally. This applies to pretty much anything when it comes to SEO. You want to try and be as natural as possible and avoid trying to keyword stuff. So let me go back over to Screaming Frog and I'll show you exactly how we can analyze this website's meta descriptions. Once again, using the same website, Green at Home. I'm currently on the page title tab from the last video. So all I'm going to do is go over to the next one, which is meta descriptions. Now, as you can see, this website actually has some pages on its site which doesn't have any meta description whatsoever. So that's something you definitely want to avoid at all costs, as when you do have a meta description on your page, what it does is it makes your website stand out more in Google and it gives you more digital real estate. Just imagine if I didn't have this description right here, I would literally only have my URL and my page title. So definitely go ahead and analyze all those URLs. So once again, what I like to do is click export, go for CSV and then click save and then simply open up that spreadsheet. Once you have the spreadsheet open, it's the same logic as we applied to the previous videos. What you want to do is clean up this spreadsheet and remove all the columns which you don't need. So I'll start from the right this time. We don't need indexability as all of these pages are actually indexable, which is good to see. So let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need the pixel width as well, so go ahead and delete that. It's actually in this column. Don't need the pixel width, that can go. Occurrences, again, this is pretty straightforward. It's how many times you see this meta description on this page. So we've got 0 at these ones, which of course they have no meta description. So I'm already aware of that. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this column as well. Literally all you need is 3 columns. You need the address, the actual meta description, and the meta description length in characters. Let me just go ahead and make this left alignment. So it's very easy to see. If I can zoom in one more, hopefully you can see all the information right now. So what I always like to do is start off with the pages which have no meta descriptions, as like I said, every page should have a meta description. So let's start off with the top one. Seems to be a category by products. Let's go over to Google and then have a look at what this page is actually about, just to make sure the meta description we're writing is a true reflection of the page. This is literally just a page listing out some of the products. So as it says, it's a category to buy the products. It's very unlikely that this page is targeting any keywords, so we don't really have to worry about trying to get our keywords mentioned in here whatsoever. But what we definitely want to do is go ahead and create a meta description that we can use on this page. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. What I'm going to do is add a new column on the right like usual. I'll call it new meta description like so. Not sure why the text is going down like that. There you go. There's nothing to copy across in this instance, as of course it's a blank meta description. What I'll do is I'll make this column a little bit smaller so you can see our new one. Now, as this page is all about just showcasing the company's products, I'm literally going to say something like, are you looking for the best garden products to help you create your dream garden? ? So I'm starting off the meta description with a question. I can say, check out what Green at Home, which is the name of the company or the website, has to offer. That's pretty cool. Now I've written that, what I want to do is just check that it's under 155 characters. So I just go back into my word counter tool. We've got 125 characters in total, so no problems there whatsoever. As I said, this page isn't targeting any keywords, so there's no keywords to really include in here whatsoever. So that is essentially how you would do it for a blank page. Hopefully that gives you a really good indication of exactly kind of the structure you need to follow when it comes to writing really good meta descriptions for your website. So let's look at one more URL now to give you an idea of how you would rewrite an existing meta description. It's pretty much the same principle you want to follow. Let's take this page in particular, the garden decking services for London. So same strategy, I'll go over to Google. I'm going to land on this page just to see what it's definitely about. We've got garden decking services in London, depth and decking installation. So it's all to do with installing this decking in people's gardens. Very straightforward and clear. If I go back over to my spreadsheet, we can see this meta description is actually 213 characters in length. That is over the 155 recommended allowance. So we definitely want to go ahead and rewrite this description. Now, as I showcased in the last video, you can actually add a filter to this column just so you can automatically see all the meta descriptions which are over 155 characters. However, when it comes to meta descriptions, I don't like to add any filters. The main reason being is because what you'll find when you audit a lot of websites is that a lot of websites actually have no meta description whatsoever, which would count as 0. So if you add your filter over 155, you're actually going to miss out on all of these blank meta descriptions. So let's go ahead and rewrite this description. I'm going to copy the old one and paste it over here so we can use some of the words. I'll start mine off once again with a question. Are you looking, double space there, are you looking for a reliable decking installer in London? Question mark. I say, great, you've just found one. We install professional decking in commercial and residential properties. I think that'll be absolutely fine. And I can end that once again with the brand name green at home and then delete all of this. That should be a lot more condensed now. I just want to copy that, go back over to my tool and just make sure that is under 155. So in this instance, we're actually over our limit. So I want to go ahead and start to condense this and actually have a few spelling errors. Let me just correct these first. There we go. So I can just take off the brand name if I want, and that way I should come down a little bit at 162. Just do a little bit more work on this. So what I can do is I can say we install professional decking at affordable prices. Let's have a look at that. What are we at now? 143. Can I get the brand name in? Green at home. No, I can't. It's too much. So what I do in this instance is I'll just go for something like this. So as you saw with this real-time walkthrough, it can be a little bit of back and forth just to make sure you are under your character limit. But I highly recommend that you pay extra attention and give it more time just to make sure you are actually under 155. As if you are not, what happens is Google will take a snippet from your page and use whatever part of content on your website they think is going to be applicable. And 9 times out of 10, they always get it wrong. So this is going to be our new meta description. So I'll go ahead and replace that one. And essentially, once you've done that for all of your pages, you've got a nice meta description. All you need to do is go into your website and update your meta description. If you are using a WordPress website, like I am for ClickSlice, it's very easy to do. You can have a plugin such as Yoast SEO, get it installed on your WordPress website, go into one of your pages or your blog post, whatever page you are optimizing, scroll down to the bottom and then click this button right here where it says Edit Snippet. This comes under the main SEO tab. Once you click that, you literally go into the meta description and simply enter in your meta description to suit. If you are not using a WordPress website, then essentially all you need to do is find the HTML code for your meta description. Very easy to do. If I go to the page source for my SEO Consultant London page, you can see I've done a Control F for the word description, and this is a HTML tag for meta description. So here between the speech marks is exactly where you'd want to add your new meta description. This part right here. That brings us to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can optimize a website's heading tags, specifically the H1 and the H2 tag. There's 5 main things which you want to be aware of. Number 1 is that you want to include your main keyword in the H1 tag. Now, don't just copy the page title. I literally see so many people that go out there, they create a really good page title and they can't think of anything to use for the H1 tag. So what do? They literally copy and paste the page title and insert it as a H1 tag. Definitely do not do that. I will show you exactly what you can do in just a second. The second thing you need to be aware of is that you should only have one H1 tag on a page. If you have a page with multiple H1 tags, then all you are doing is confusing Google. Your H1 tag is essentially the main heading of that page. If you have multiple H1 tags, then you're telling Google that this page is about multiple different things. So definitely avoid that. Number 3. You can have as many H2 tags as you want on your page. You just need to be sure that they're relevant subtopics of your H1 tag. Now the same applies to H3 tags you have on your website. You can have as many as you want. They just need to be relevant subtopics of the H2 which comes before the H3. And finally, same as always, you need to make sure you write naturally when composing any of your H1, H2 or H3 tags. So if you found number 2 a little bit confusing as what I mean by relevant subtopics, then this image should provide a little bit of clarity. Here we have the heading structure of my SEO consultant page on ClickSlice. You can see I have one H1 tag and it says SEO consultant London, partner with the best. I have a H2 tag, again, a subtopic of that H1, and I say how my SEO consultancy services work. So consultancy is another keyword variation of the word consultant. And as that whole topic is relevant to SEO consulting, it makes sense having it as a subtopic. I then got another H2 tag which says SEO Experts, meet my rockstar team in London. This is all relevant to my consulting services. So as a result, it comes under my main H1 tag. Then under my second H2 tag, where I'm talking about my rockstar team, I have a list of all of my staff, which are actually a subtopic of my H2, which is why they're a H3. So hopefully that clarifies exactly what I mean by a subtopic. So for the real-time walkthrough, we're going to be using a different website. It's time to say goodbye to Green at Home. We've used them in the last 2 videos. So this is a new website I'm going to be using for this specific video. So this is a website called blushphotobooth.co.uk. Once again, I have no relation or affiliation to this website whatsoever. I simply just found it on Google by carrying out a search for photo booth hire. So I've already plugged this website into Screaming Frog, and what I want to do now is go over to the H1 and the H2 tags to view those tags for the website. Now, if you remember what I said in my slides, when it comes to your H1 tag, what you want to do is make sure that it's unique and not exactly the same as your page title. So when it comes to reviewing your H1 tag, it's always a good idea to actually export the page titles as well, and then compare your H1 to the page titles. The same applies to the H2. Export that and then compare it to the H1. So in total, you need to export 3 different tabs. It's going to be your page title. Let me go ahead and do that now. You want to do exactly the same for your H1. Click export. And then finally, go ahead and export all of the H2s on a website. So you should have 3 different files in total, your page titles, H1 and your H2. So let's go ahead and open these all up. And the main aim of what we're trying to do here is merge these all into one file. So let me open up the page titles, drag that across, it's on my other screen. Now I'm going to open the H1s. Once again, that's on my other screen, drag that across. And then we've got one more of the H2s, and no doubt that's going to open on my other screen as well. And yes, it did. So what we want to do is clean all of these files up and then merge them together. So let's just make page titles our main one. All we literally need to see is the page titles. We can ignore the page title length, as of course you would have already done that by now, as this comes after the page title. Let's go on, delete all of these. Essentially, all we want to see is the actual title tag and the URL. Delete that like so. We can now go on to the next spreadsheet, which is going to be our H1 tags. So here, all you need to do is go ahead and copy across your H1 tag. There's only one occurrence of a H1 tag, so I don't need to worry about copying multiple H1 tags. Let's take this column and then copy that in the second column like so. We don't need to worry about a H1 length, as a length doesn't really matter when it comes to a H1 tag. Of course, try and keep your H1 tag as concise as possible and always keep the user in mind. You don't want to have a H1 tag which is hundreds and hundreds of characters. The shorter, the better. And then once you're finished with your H1s, just go ahead and cancel that. You want to go ahead and do exactly the same thing for your H2 tags. Now, before I go ahead and copy my H2 tags, you can see in this column right here where it says occurrences, there is multiple occurrences. So all this means is there is multiple H2 tags. So what I want to do is make sure I copy both occurrences across over onto the main spreadsheet. So let me go ahead and copy the first H2 one like so. Put it in column D. Then I'll copy the second H2, which is this one, H2-2. Copy that into column E, and that is it for this spreadsheet. We don't need to see the length once again. The length does not really matter when it comes to the headings. Let's go ahead and close that. This is no longer needed. And now we have our one main spreadsheet, which I'm going to make full screen. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Filter that like so. Just clean it up a little bit so you guys can see exactly what is going on here. Once again, I'm going to make that in bold. And I'll zoom in a couple bits more. And essentially what we have here is a breakdown of the page's title, the H1, the H2, and the second H2 as well. So it's quite a bit of manual work involved. However, when it comes to doing an SEO audit, you really want to pay attention to exactly what is going on. So doing things manually is a great way to see exactly how a site is laid out. I'm just going to take it back one more and zoom out just so we can see the actual website URL. And instead of me going through all of these website URLs, I'll just use one for the purpose of this video. So let me just go ahead and clear this, as it can be a little bit hard to see with all this information. I do appreciate that, and I did actually get feedback in one of my previous courses saying that I'm showing too much information on spreadsheets. So yes, I am listening to all the feedback I get. So let me go ahead and show you exactly what I would do to improve the heading structure of this page. So rule number one, always visit the actual page to see what it looks like. So let's go back to Google and then carry out a search. And this is the page right here, photo booth hire Leeds. For those who don't know, Leeds is actually a location here in the United Kingdom. It's a city. So just by looking at the page, it's very clear. This is literally a page as it states. It's a page about photo booths you can hire in the area of Leeds. Okay, that's all crystal clear. Let me go back to my spreadsheet. So the title tag of this page says photo booth hire Leeds. The H1 tag says Leeds hire, so there's definitely a big room for improvement. The H2 literally just says photo booth hire Leeds, which is very similar. It's actually identical to the page title, other than that the page title mentions a brand name, Blush Booth, at the end of it. Then they have another H2 which says 5-star service, which has nothing to do with photo booths whatsoever, so that definitely should not be a H2 tag. So what would I do to improve this? Well, of course, imagine the title tag stays the same, as we're only working on the headings. The H1 tag, I would definitely change it from Leeds hire. And before I go ahead and start to craft any other H1 tag or a H2, I need to figure out exactly what other keyword ideas I could be using. So if you carried out some keyword research for your website or your client sites already, then you can literally refer to your keyword research spreadsheet and go ahead and start to include some more keywords. If you haven't, then obviously what you can do is just go over to Google, carry out a search for the main keyword. So in my example, it's going to be photo booth hire. You can scroll down and look at the organic results to try and get an idea of exactly other keywords you can be using in your H1 tag. I mean, what we're looking at right now is actually the page titles, where I can see I've got the word rental, which is another word for hire. We've got rental appearing again. We've got wedding, party, and corporate, which are pretty good ideas. As of course, some people like to hire a photo booth for a wedding. Some may want to hire it for a party or a corporate event and so on. So you can actually get quite a few ideas just by looking at the organic results on Google. If you have access to SEMrush, you can do exactly the same thing. Just plug in photo booth hire or whatever keyword it is you are targeting. And then under keyword variations, you can get an idea of other keywords you can be using. And as you can see, you've got the same recommendations right here. Wedding photo booth hire, we've got party photo booth hire, and so on and so on. So taking this into consideration, what I would do for my H1 tag, I would go for something such as photo booth rental instead of hire. And I'll put in Leeds, which is the location they are targeting. And I'll put in the word booths to hire for all occasions, like that. That is the main H1 tag. Let me go ahead and just make it a little bit smaller so you can see. So what I've done here is I put the word booths in there with an S. So I put in the plural version in addition to the single version right there. I've included the word rental and I've included the word hire as well. I've mixed up the words a little bit. Instead of having photo booth hire, I've gone for photo booth rental, but I've also got the word hire in there as well. So this is a much better H1 optimized SEO tag. Moving on to the H2 tag. At present, it just says photo booth hire leads, which like I said, is basically a duplicate of the title tag. We definitely want to go ahead and change this. So as my H1 says, booths to hire for all occasions, in my H2 tags, what I can literally do is mention those occasions. So I could go for photo booths to hire for weddings. I think was an occasion we saw for weddings. And then I could have another H2 saying photo booths to hire for, for some reason I can't edit it in the field, for parties. Now I've got two similar H2 tags. One includes the keyword weddings and one includes the keyword parties. Now you don't have to do an exact duplicate and just change out the actual part of the H2 tag, which is unique, aka weddings and parties. You can rearrange it if you want, and I actually recommend you do. I do see a lot of people actually go for a standard format like this, and the reason why is because it's the easiest thing to do. However, when we're doing SEO, we want to avoid always doing the easy option. We saw earlier that the word rental was a really good keyword variation. So how about we include another variation of the word rental? So we can do photo booths to rent for parties. Let's clean that up like so. So we've got photo booths to rent for parties. Now I've got the party variation in there. I've got rent in there. I've got rentals. I've got booth. I've got booths. I've got occasions, I've got hire, weddings, parties. So hopefully you can see just how many keywords we've now got in just by optimizing a little bit better for the SEO. You can even go a step further if you wish. So for example, instead of saying photo booths to hire for weddings, you can say photo booths to hire for weddings in Leeds. So once again, get your location in there. Just be very careful as you don't want to overdo it and over optimize your page. If you're ever unsure exactly if you are over optimized or if you're under optimized, always review what the top ranking websites are doing on Google and use that as a guide to follow. So what we just ran through now is literally the same process that you want to apply to all of your pages on your website. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.